Hello, hi, and welcome. Like one of my previous videos, this is a school thing, specifically a school project on a book I've read. This video is going to contain a lot of yapping about a book, so if you aren't interested in that, you can click off now. If you are in my class and watching this video right now, please be quiet and let me cook. Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse is the third installment in the pentology. I personally think that this is the best book I've read so far out of the first three books. I love how this book goes into some darker topics and it isn't afraid to kill off characters if needed. However, the ending was a little bit confusing to me. What happened in the book, you might ask? Well, here's a perfect 10 out of 10 summary, all in my own words, trademarked by me. I know, it's not actually trademarked, I have no idea how to do legal stuff. Before we start, as of writing the script, has been a few days since I finished reading the book, so I might have forgotten to include some things, so do not quote me on everything. Also, if this wasn't obvious, massive spoiler warning for anybody who's planning on reading this book. Here we go. The book starts out with Percy, Annabeth, and Thalia, who was revived in the ending of the last book, going to a military school. Inside the school, they meet up with Grover. He informs them that there are two siblings who are half-bloods of unknown origin. The Demi-Gang splits up to look for the siblings, and in the end, Percy finds them. They get attacked by one of the staff members, Dr. Thorne, who is actually a Manticore. Dr. Thorne talks about some kind of great stirring and a monstrous beast which has appeared. Dr. Thorne tries to kidnap the siblings, but Percy tries to stop him by himself. They fight and end up out of the school at a cliff. Annabeth, Thalia, and Grover finally arrive. They fight, and when the Demi-Gang starts losing, Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, arrives with her hunting pack, which consists of young-looking girls. The hunters scare off Thorne and he escapes, but he also takes Annabeth with him. Artemis goes alone to try and hunt down the beast. The rest of the hunters and Percy, Thalia, and Grover go back to Camp Half-Blood. With the help of Apollo's Sun Chariot, which is actually a vehicle that can take the form of any vehicle, pretty cool, right? At camp, the campers who are there fight the hunters in a game of capture the flag. And at the end, when the hunters win, which was like their 67th win, the oracle walks to the river and speaks a prophecy. 5 shall go west to the goddess in chains, 1 shall be lost in the land without rain, the bane of Olympus shows the trail. Campers and hunters combined prevail. The Titan's curse must one withstand, W name drop, and 1 shall perish by parents' hand. One of the half-blood siblings, Bianca, the older sister, joined the hunters. She and Zoe, the head hunter, go on the quest with Grover and Thalia. The third huntress, who was going to come, was cursed, and now she can't go, sadly. At night, Blackjack, a Pegasus, comes to Percy and tells him that a mysterious sea creature needs help. Percy rides Blackjack to the middle of the Long Island River. Percy dives down and sees a half-cow, half-serpent thing. Percy trapped. Percy frees this creature. Percy sneaks out with the help of Blackjack and follows the hunters and campers. They end up at a museum which Percy went to once. Percy sees some general talking to Dr. Thorne and Luke, ordering them to plant the seeds of skeleton warriors in a big line. They do that. The skeletons are impossible to kill. Percy's cover gets blown by the campers and hunters, but they have to fight the line. Percy uses sour powder from the souvenir shop to choke the lion. The hunters shoot him in the mouth and it dies. Percy gets the pelt, which turns into a coat. They keep going west. On the way there, they end up in the desert and find a junkyard with a lot of old used things, thrown away by mortals and immortals alike. There's a giant robot guarding the junkyard. The robot attacks the hunters and campers, And when Bianca went inside the robot to fry its circuits, she sadly died, fulfilling the prophecy which states, "One shall be lost in the land without rain." They go up to the river and find a dam. They go into the dam's cafe, but not long after get attacked by the skeleton warriors, causing them to flee. There are 2 angel statues dedicated to Zeus there, and when Thalia prays to Zeus, they help them get away. When they arrive in San Francisco, they go to the garden of the sunset nymphs, who used to be Zoe's family. They go into the cave on top of the mountain to find Artemis holding the sky, and Luke and Atlas, who tricked Artemis into holding the sky by chaining Annabeth. Artemis couldn't stand a maiden being tortured, so she took the burden. Okay. The hunters and campers fight the Titan and Luke, and in the battle Zoe dies to Atlas, who is her father, fulfilling the "one dies by parent's hand" part of the prophecy. Luke falls down seemingly to his death, but he is still alive. The half-serpent, half-cow creature is the beast Artemis was hunting. If you take it and sacrifice it into the flame, you get powers strong enough to bring down Olympus. When they show the beast to the gods, they are scared about what it might do. There's a prophecy which said that when a child of the Big Three reaches 16, a great terror will happen. Thalia is turning 16 in a few days. To find a solution to this problem, Artemis makes Thalia her head huntress, who was previously Zoe, but she died. This is good, because if you're a huntress, you never age, thus preventing the prophecy from coming true. Not preventing, more like delaying, but it's better than nothing. Percy, Annabeth, and Grover return to camp, and when Percy tells Nico about the tragedy that happened to Bianca, the Nico from this book, not Nico one-shot, Nico crashes out at Percy for not protecting her. A giant crack in the earth appears and Nico runs away. Percy figures out that Nika and Bianca are children of Hades. Annabeth says that Hades didn't break the oath because the children were born before World War II and were stuck in the Lotus Casino, causing them to time skip into the present. That is the Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse in a nutshell. This is my favorite book out of the 3 first books for a quantity of reasons. One reason is that this book is longer than the first 2. It feels less rushed and just has better pacing overall. I also really loved how the book wasn't afraid to kill off characters, and I'm really curious about what they're gonna do with Nico after this book. The twist that Nico and Bianca are the children of Hades was also really cool in my opinion. I love that the book just feels like more effort was put into it, and it doesn't feel like a Harry Potter ripoff anymore, and feels like an actual original book. My final reason is that it actually shows the demigods and some of the gods using their powers and fighting. I always loved a good magic fight. The reason I thought the ending was confusing is because after they figure out Nico and Bianca are children of Hades, Grover comes over with a suitcase and tells him that he heard Pan's voice in his head. I think that the whole thing with Grover trying to find Pan is just not important to the story, and feels like something to make Grover's character have more depth to him than him just being Percy's Ron from the Ron to Percy's Harry from Harry Potter. I don't know though. Pan might be more important in the later books, but I just have not read them yet. Thank you all for watching this. I'm sorry it isn't longer because I had a time limit on how long this can be. Huge thanks to my teacher for letting me work on it to make a video on this book, and a humongous thank you to me, myself, and I for not being super lazy and actually getting this done. I hope you guys read great books, and yeah, see ya.